And same with the activities of daily living. We can start here with the more global level. This is a precondition summary. 100% intact ability in this case, that they perceive themselves before. And then over time, they see that there's an increase towards the 100% from before in terms of all their activities of daily living. But this allows us to look from the standpoint, what are the relative contributions? So if I have a shortfall between this 100% here and my first measurement in September 30th, 1997, where I perceived overall that I'm at 5%, I've had that much of a loss, maybe I'm still in hospital or just out of hospital at that point, I still have a bed in my living room. What are the symptom impairments contributing to that? And we can see that if you look at all the blue bars, it's 55% physical, it's 43% cognitive, and it's only a few percentage points in the emotional perspective.
I have a question. These are subjective readings?
These can be both. These can be subjective, actually three ways. Subjective, as perceived by a significant other, as well as measured by an occupational therapist who actually goes in the person's home, takes these measurements, and then plugs these into the measurement.
Some of these data points are based on more of a restricted set.
Sorry, restricted set of?
Data, so being a subjective assessment, for example. So I'm just trying to think, like, if those data points, are they based on test scores on your own psych assessment?
Yeah, so these areas here are much more occupational therapy in origin. So personal care, mobility, shopping, meal planning, cleaning, laundry, et cetera. And it's geared towards the degree of independence. Are you completely independent? Are you independent with a device or modification? And then it goes down from there in terms of the degree of actual care that you require or assistance that you require in that respect. So we have specific protocols in OT going into the home and doing a measurement. They are some objective measures, but we also have some ways of corroborating in terms of natural functional capacity of a person relative to the degree to which they are, again, are independent or dependent for that specific area.
So this is integration with like multiple sources. So this could be like those OCF forms that OCHealth or an occupational therapist completes, and that data is integrated with this. Is that what you're getting? So
Yes.
I thought maybe it's based on a very specific set of questionnaires or ratios.
This specific one isn't. The other ones are.
Okay.
For the client or significant other, these are always based on very specific questions. Again, we'll show you the questions in a couple of minutes. But again, it can be then translated into actual observation of the person carrying out those tasks.
Doug, can I ask you another question?
Sure.
In keeping with the good old days hypothesis,
Right.
and some research that we've even done looking at, let's say, concussive symptoms, broadly speaking, in people who've never had a concussion, and get 100% endorsement rate in headaches, pain, concentration difficulties, fatigue. In fact, how many people feel fatigued and can't concentrate? No,
Right.
right?
Yes.
It happens.
Sure.
Have you ever seen anybody who perceives themselves pre-morbidly as less than 100%?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So
Are
the
they-
average. Sorry.
Are they more likely to recover in the long run than those who perceive themselves 100%?
Don't know. That's going to be an important question for us to be asking and addressing.
To explore that.
Absolutely. And although this specific graph doesn't show it, I mean, we have a choice when the person's actually completing their questionnaire for this measure on their own. There's the option for them to either complete the pre-morbid columns repeatedly, each time they're completing the current status, or you can just measure it once. And my preference is to always measure it several times.
Does it change?
Because it can change, because the good old day phenomenon,
Really?
it can change. It can change.
So they start
Yes.
to perceive them as being better and for the long time.
Absolutely. Now,
Sorry,
For the-
so
for-
they
they perceive themselves
people
as-
are functioning better as time goes on.
Right, that's right. Now, obviously, the majority of people who never had any substantial impairments or activities of daily living limitations before, and they're at 100%, you can't get better than that. But those people who did acknowledge some issues in the past, as time goes on, we can see that there's that good old days kind of phenomenon.
So they're
in some
basically
of those folks.
chasing an impossibility at that point.
In a sense.
If they're
in
raising
a
a
sense.
pretty morbid bar
In a
over
sense,
time.
that's right. Which is important to have the original data
initial
point
baseline.
and baseline completed by a significant other,
Yeah.
for example, too.
Yeah.
Very, very helpful from that standpoint. So again, then you are able to hone in on more specific subdomains.
I'm going to interrupt, Doug. So if anyone's
Sure.
interested in that as a thesis project, write it down
Yes,
and remind me.
there you go. Beautiful.
Pardon?
So then we get into the more specific activity domain level, and then again we can then go further into personal care, and from personal care, bathing, showering, grooming, dressing, toileting, sleeping, feeding, and then again we have this area aggregated, and again we can measure the physical, the cognitive, and emotional, and the relative makeup there. So you can imagine if somebody's saying they're impaired from driving. If you had a typical measure, I'm impaired from driving. What does that mean? I've had a neck injury, for example. Mobility is an issue. Maybe my reaction time is slower. Is it a physical aspect? Is it a driving phobia? Is the person cognitively impaired to some extent and can't be driving? Or is there a combination of those things? Well, we're not going to be able to really make a huge dent if the wrong discipline from the wrong domain is working in that area. It's like the analogy of the elephant, right? When you ask the elephant, and everyone's grabbing a different part of the elephant, the ear, the trunk, what is it? We typically have that problem in rehab because people can be so really monolithic in their thinking. It's their training, it's their expertise, so they tend to be only thinking in that area, but we have to kind of broaden everybody's perspective and step back and say, what are the contributing factors here that might even be beyond my own discipline contributing in terms of symptoms? Marco?
Sorry to interrupt again, but do patients often have that kind of bias towards physical, where they think if something's wrong, say in the concentration, it's my brain is physically broken rather than I'm kind of just tired or burnt out?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's a big problem that we have for a number of different reasons. Even today, I would argue that perhaps the concussion literature or the sports, the media, people oftentimes think, I've had a small concussion, and now there's such media attention around athletes developing dementia, which is true after multiple events. But after one event, the truth is that still most people will recover substantially, if not fully, in the vast majority of cases. So what are we left with? If it's not corrected, some people can think, I have a brain injury, but you're right. When you're in pain, how well do you concentrate?
Yeah, the point to underscore is the manifestation, regardless of etiology, is the same. Poor concentration.
Exactly.
Which impacts on their ADL.
Exactly. Depression, poor sleep, all these medication side effects, all compound. So yeah, but there's still that percentage, arguably between 6 and 15%, that don't recover after even their first concussion. So we can talk about probabilities, but we have to do a really good assessment in any given situation, tease out the contributing factors. And frankly, in most cases, the contributing factors are easier to manage, to address, in terms of cognitive functioning anyway. Quite often, the jury is still out in terms of things like CogMed or lumosity, for example, in terms of whether there's actual true.
The jury decided.
The jury decided.
Yes. Okay. This jury did.
Even else,
Yes.